We worked very closely with Afghan security forces and with groups that were local tribal groups, and developed some very strong relationships. I was very proud of the work that we did there. My name is Ruari Nicholson. I was a CSIS officer, intelligence officer.
What's one thing you wish more Canadians understood about the service?
So there's, I think the service does a good job in trying to attract talented Canadians to join our organization. I know that they, from coast to coast, they have recruitment campaigns, and I think that's kind of the front-facing element of the service in terms of getting the message out, is trying to attract young, or let's say talented individuals into our ranks. I think where the service in the past has had very much a challenging relationship with the media. And so I think that's a cultural element, and I think it's typical of an intelligence service. It's be judged by your deeds, not your words. But in this case, the deeds are typically not well identified to Canadians. So I think there is scope, frankly, for more engagement with Canadians. And I'd point to some of our partner agencies who had a similar culture of non-engagement, of hiding in the shadows to an extent. But I think they saw the value of telling Canadians good stories. And I think Canadians have an expectations that within reason, they'll understand the value proposition associated with supporting an organization, which at times their operations can be very expensive. So I think there is greater scope for that. And I think that there is a growing interest within the organization to see that happen.
What's your proudest memory of working for the service?
Proudest memory.
Biggest accomplishment, thing that you really remember and think, wow, that was incredible, or we really did good work here, that you can share, obviously. There might be something like that you can't share.
So I think the happiest moment, I'll give you my proudest moment, and I'll give you maybe my happiest. First, the moment where I was most impacted. I was a director general in Atlantic region, and I was leaving, which I decided to go to the private sector. So with the private sector, there wasn't a lot of lead up, so I had to announce my retirement relatively quickly, which was challenging at the time. It was emotional. And I recall that in Halifax, the entire office turned out and presented me with a hockey jersey with the Atlantic Region tartan and clapped while I left, sort of lined the hallways. And I remember that being sort of a very poignant but meaningful moment for me. It was something I'll never forget. But that would, to me, that's the best of the service, right? It's very, you come to sort of expect that level of camaraderie, and you just don't get it in other organizations. I mean, there are, I'm sure, organizations that have that sense of belonging and purpose, but I haven't encountered it at the level of the service, and so I miss that. And I knew that in that moment when I was leaving, with all of my colleagues surrounding me, that it was going to be a profound miss, and it was. In terms of the proudest moment, I would say it was my second. Again, I mentioned to you I was involved in international operations, so it felt like that was a lifestyle. It was a question of coming home, preparing for the next deployment, training for the next deployment, and then deploying. And so it was getting your family ready. I went for years living like that. Frankly, I never really thought it would end. It seemed like it was just 10 years of my life where it was nonstop deployments. We talked about Iraq and Afghanistan. There were multiple other deployments. I spent many years serving overseas, and I work with a close group of individuals, smaller group, but very, very close. But I would say the proudest moment was second deployment to Afghanistan in 2009. We did some really exceptional work. We worked very closely with Afghan security forces and with groups that were local tribal groups, and developed some very strong relationships. I was very proud of the work that we did there. We called it an operation called Wandering Leaf, but it was an idea. The Canadian flag would be present around the province, so we'd have a greater impact, greater interaction with local communities, and it was successful. But at the end of the mission, the task force commander brought me in front of his group and some of the troops and awarded me with a medal, which was part of, a recognition of having served in Afghanistan. This was not for bravery, for anything exceptional. It was sort of an expectation, but it was not the medal itself. It was the words that were expressed. It was the warmth of the moment that made me feel intensely proud of the work we'd done, not only for myself, but of the team that I had been with. So that was an exceptional moment that if you ask me, it's the first thing that pops to mind is that warmth of the words of the commander, the impact on me, and it was a good way to end that deployment.